Hey magicians, welcome back to my channel. This is another unboxing video. I'll probably be posting a few of these in a row since I've been doing some shopping while I'm back in the States, but I have to get everything filmed because I have to pack to move pretty soon. So you can expect this to not be the last unboxing video you'll see. In this video, we're going to be comparing two different versions of the Breyer Stablemates Deluxe Horse Collection. And these are two different versions of the kit that were released in different years. This one, it was released in, I think, 2020, but they didn't retire it until pretty recently. It's not available on the website anymore, but you can still find it pretty easily on Amazon and in stores. I actually bought this on clearance in Cal Ranch, so if you're looking for it, you might want to try checking there. And then this version of the collection was just released pretty recently, either in late 2024 or early this year, I'm not sure. And it's similar, it's still got 8 horses, but they're all different. So we're just going to be comparing them, having a look at both, and chatting about each horse a little bit. So let's go ahead and start with the older kit, the 2021. The back just has a picture of each model and then a little bit of discussion about each breed. There's a Brabant, a paint horse, a warm blood, a Morgan, a thoroughbred, an Andalusian, an Arabian, and a Lipizzaner. So there's a pretty wide variety of breeds as well as different coat colors here. So now let's get it open and have a look at the models. All right, here's our little herd free of the plastic. Let's take a closer look at each horse, starting with the Brabant. She is on the G3 Belgian mold, so she's off-breed, but still beautiful. That's a beautiful blood bay color there. I really hope the camera is picking up how nice the shading is. They've done a really nice job airbrushing her. She's got a broad stripe down her face. It's more of a blaze, isn't it? And she's also got 2 socks on her back feet, very cute. That color is just gorgeous. It's got a lot of red and it looks really pretty. The back of the box says, large-bodied and powerful, the Brabant is a draft horse breed from Belgium and is commonly used for heavy drafting work. And you can see, obviously they've chosen the right mold. She's a very strong horse. The other thing about this mold that I like is the tail is tied up. And normally I like to see free-flowing tails, but it's also nice to have a braid every now and then, and this one has nice sculpting on it. It looks pretty neat. So she's very spiffy, also that very short mane. It's docked on both sides. So I like this mold. It does tip over pretty easily, but I'm a fan of it, and the color is really, really pretty. There she is. Next up, let's talk about the paint horse. This is on the ever-present G2 running thoroughbred mold. But this time it's a paint horse, not a thoroughbred, and she's a beautiful chestnut pinto. Looks like Pinto Tobiano, so she's got that white tail there, a little bit of shading on the hooves, very nice shell color there, and the rest of her is this red chestnut color, very pretty. She's also got a stripe on her face. I love this mold. I'm a big fan of it. It's one of the older ones, but the detail, and especially in the legs, the definition and those tiny little hooves, very, very accurate to thoroughbreds and also very nice to look at. So I'm glad they've kept using this mold in some of their newer releases. Also, that pinto color is really pretty. I love seeing broken colors on new molds. It always looks different on every mold. The back of the box for this one says, American paint horses will always catch your eye with their unique coats, which display Overo, Tovero, or Tobiano patterns. And as I said, I believe this one's Tobiano. It's a little hard to tell, but she's got that mostly white look to her, so I think she would count as Tobiano. Next up, let's have a look at this warm blood. This is a beautiful pale Palomino on another one of my favorite molds, the G3 warm blood jumper. And obviously one of the most recognizable parts of this mold is the fact that it comes in this clear stand that just pops off, which makes them very easy to customize. If you want to paint, you don't have to worry about getting paint on the stand. And it just pops right back on, and it's clear plastic, so it's not too obtrusive on the shelf. It really does look like he's flying over a jump there. The back of the box for this model says, fantastic dressage and jumping mounts. Most warm-blood breeds originated in Europe, where cold and hot-blooded breeds were crossed to create these strong and athletic horses. And that's very true. There are warm bloods from all different places. This one looks like he might be German. If you have a look at his feet, they're very strong. But either way, he is very pretty. Like I said, that's sort of a dusky palomino color. There's a little bit of gray in it. He's also got a stocking on his back foot there and a little snip between his nostrils. It's almost invisible. Another thing I noticed was Breyer has added a little bit of shading on the face, not just on the muzzle, but also around the eyes, which adds some depth and sets them apart from the rest of the coat, which is a really nice touch. So I appreciate that, especially since he's so pale. So this is a really pretty color. I love this mold. They don't have too many models on it, so I'm excited to have another one. There is our warm blood. Next up, let's have a look at the Andalusian. This is the G5 Murado mold, and this is painted in a beautiful, very striking copper bay. Just look at the orange tone in that coat, super bright. And he's got a star right here, and 3 socks, 2 hind, and the left 4. You can see the shading on this one is also pretty nice. There's a lot of detail in this mold, especially in the tail. So the fact that they've not only added some variation in the tone, but also a satiny sheen to the entire coat really sets off that detail, and it looks beautiful. Just look at the muscle definition on the neck there. That's incredible. And this coat isn't quite metallic, but it does have a little bit more of a sheen than the other models that I've looked at in this set so far. The back of the box for this one says, also known as the PRE or pure Spanish horse, the Andalusian hails from the Iberian Peninsula and has been the mount of nobility, matadors, and classical dressage riders. The Andalusian is a very, very versatile breed, it's true. Next up, let's take a peek at the thoroughbred here, and the first thing you'll probably notice is this is not a thoroughbred mold. This is the G4 Trotting Warm Blood. And I'm wondering why they chose this mold, because it doesn't look like a thoroughbred at all. The neck is too short, the head is too big, and the feet are definitely too big. Sort of the hallmark of thoroughbreds is how they're built to run, so they have these long, thin legs and tiny feet. And if you compare this warm blood mold to the G2 thoroughbred, you'll see what I mean. Look how much smaller the feet are on this one. This one actually looks like a thoroughbred. This one does not. And I am confused as to why this mold was selected when Breyer has so many thoroughbred molds they could have used instead. Either way, the thoroughbred is here before us, and she is a beautiful, beautiful, very dark dapple gray. You can't even really see the dapples, so you can assume she might be a little bit older. And the back of the box for this one says, these sleek racehorses have long legs and powerful muscles, which allow them to run at top speed for distances of up to 1.5 miles, which is very, very true. Although I'm not sure if this particular horse could do that, because she doesn't look like a racehorse at all to me. That's all she has, though. She does not have any white markings. The other thing is, unfortunately, there's a little bit of box rubbing happening. Most of it came off when I got her out of the plastic, but her paint did take a little bit of damage from that plastic. That's one thing I don't like about these plastic packages they put them in, the ones that have really tight clamshell packaging, is it can damage the paint, which is unfortunate. But she still looks pretty good. If she wasn't being marketed as a thoroughbred, I would probably be happier with her. The shading on her coat is really nice, especially the darker areas near her feet and on her sides, and how it gets paler near her face and then darker again at the very tip of her nose. The variation in shading does look really good. So I am happy with this model. I just don't think it looks like a thoroughbred. Next up, let's have a peek at the Morgan, and this is a classic. This is, of course, the G2 Morgan mold, one of the older ones. One of my earliest memories is a model on this mold, actually, so I'm a fan of it. I love it. He's a beautiful buckskin color. Again, if you can look at his flank, the box rubs are pretty bad. I can't get them off, which is very sad. But he's still really pretty, especially from a distance. And he's a darker buckskin, so the sides of his body have a grayish tint, and the fading on his legs starts pretty early. He also has a little stripe here that turns into a star on his forehead, so nice little white marking there. The back of the box for this one says, the versatile Morgan is an American breed that has done everything from pulling fancy carriages and working on farms to serving as cavalry mounts. And that's also true. Morgans are used for all kinds of things. I don't think they're typically used as farm horses, although I suppose they could be. And this mold is very dynamic and beautiful. It shows the sort of spirit of the Morgan horse very well, especially with the movement in the mane and tail. Look how long that tail is, just incredible. The shading looks great. I just wish those box rubs weren't there. That's too bad. I still think he's pretty. I say that about every horse I meet, though. Next up, we've only got 2 left. Let's have a look at this Arabian. And this one's also gorgeous, of course, on the G5 Galloping Arabian Stallion mold, which is also sometimes called Darley. And he is a beautiful liver chestnut. I love this color. I've been a huge fan of liver chestnuts recently. They're very fun to paint too. So you can see his body is this very dark, rich mahogany brown color. Then it actually gets a little bit paler on the tail here. It has a reddish tinge towards the tip. And then the mane on this side also gets a little bit paler as well, although he doesn't have much mane going on up here. He's pretty bald towards the poll. And he's got 1 stocking on that forward foot, and that's all. Taking a closer look, you can really see the definition in the mold. This is another one of those Stablemates molds that feels a little bit larger than scale. That's one thing I've noticed about Stablemates, is there tends to be some variation there. If, for instance, we hold him up next to this thoroughbred, you can see how much larger he is. And especially for Arabians, which don't tend to be the very largest of horses, that's a little bit of an inconsistency. But by himself, he does look terrific. And the body itself is very slender as well, so that sort of balances out the increase in scale. There's that beautiful Arabian dished profile as well. The back of the box for this one says, "Beautiful and intelligent, the Arabian has incredible stamina, which makes them outstanding endurance riding horses." That's very true. Arabians are also very smart. I think if you talk to anyone who's worked with horses for a bit, they'll probably tell you that Arabians are the smartest breeds and thoroughbreds are the least smart, but of course, opinions vary. Finally, let's have a look at this Lipizzaner. And if you've heard of the Lipizzaners and the famous riding school in Vienna, you might know that Lipizzaners are most famous for being gray or white. Well, this one is black, and he's got a little star. And it is possible for Lipizzaners to stay dark. They're usually born black or dark brown and turn gray as they get older, but that doesn't always happen. There's usually a bay performing at the riding school. This one is black. Maybe he's performing. It looks like he's doing dressage. He's doing the passade move, I believe. The back of the box says, "These elegant and often gray horses were bred to excel in classical dressage and are known for performing the dramatic airs above the ground maneuvers." And those are the special dressage maneuvers that they're taught at the riding school. There's nothing else going on with this model. He's just pure black with that little star and then his little white eyes. He does look a little bit scared. Maybe he's just learning how to do this move for the very first time. But on this mold, it's very striking pose here, and the sculpting on the tail is exquisite. The definition between strands of hair is incredible. I really hope the camera's focusing right now. I can't really see. I hope it's picking that up. As well as the mane. Sometimes on some of these models, the sculpting on manes and tails can be a little bit sloppy. You can see the difference here, even on this Arabian, the hairs on the mane kind of blend together. We don't see that here with the Lipizzaner mold. I love this one. And you can see when he stands, he is performing that dressage move. He's not rearing. This is a controlled rear, which is pretty difficult to execute. I'm a fan of this mold, you can probably tell. So this is our first batch of 8 horses. Take your final look. We'll set them to the side and have a look at the next 8. All right, so here's our newer set. This one again, I believe is from 2024. So it's the same set from a newer year. Again, there are 8 horses here, but they're all different. And the back of the box is pretty similar. It just has a little picture of each model and then a little bit of info about each breed. Included in this set are an American Cream Draft, a Mustang, a quarter horse, a Norwegian Fjord, another Arabian, a standardbred, a Connemara pony, and another Morgan. So right off the bat, we do have 2 repeated breeds here, the Arabian and the Morgan, but they are on different molds and in different colors. And I'm also very excited to see that almost all of these molds are pretty new. Actually, they're all G6 through M1. So these are all new molds. I don't have many horses on any of these in my collection, so I'm super excited to get into these. Without any further ado, let's get it open and have a look at the actual models. Awesome, so here's our new little group of 8 horses, and so far these all look really, really good. First, let's have a look at this Connemara pony. So of course this is the M1 Connemara mare mold, pretty new, and the finish on this horse is pretty much metallic or pearly. You can see the shine there is incredible, which is great. Obviously, it's a little bit of a fantastical finish, but it does really set off the detail in that mold, especially those defined curls in the mane and tail, and that really nice muscle definition on the flanks and the shoulders. This is just a gorgeous mold. Just the posing and the detail of it are incredible. I love the way the tail is moving. And the back of the box for this breed says, native to Ireland, the Connemara pony is a strong, hardy breed, adapted to withstand the harsh climate and rocky terrain of the region for which they are named. Connemara ponies possess both stamina and an exceptionally kind temperament, which is a pretty nice way to sum them up. And this, of course, for a pony, now this model is pretty large. If we put this one next to, for instance, the Lipizzaner, she's actually larger. So I'm not sure how large Connemara ponies are in real life. I've never actually met one, but this mold does seem pretty large to be for a pony. Still really pretty, and that color is just gorgeous. Next up, let's have a look at the American Cream Draft. Now this is the M1 Giorgio mold, and this is my first horse on the Giorgio mold. I love it. He's huge. Look how big he is. That is a draft horse for sure. And I've also not encountered this breed before. The back of the box says, the American Cream is the only draft horse breed native to the United States. Known for its distinctive cream color and calm temperament, the American Cream makes for a wonderful companion. Due to the breed's strength and willingness to work, they are well suited to life on the farm. That's super interesting. I've never actually heard of that breed before. But here he is. You can see he's a beautiful cream color, Palomino. He's got 2 white socks on his back feet, and of course a white mane and tail. Interestingly, the white portions of his body have a similar pearly finish to our Connemara mare right here. That's pretty interesting. Even the feet. You might expect a little bit of a shinier finish on the mane and tail to make the appearance of gloss, but the feathering on the backs of those feet that have socks on them are also pearly finished, which is pretty interesting. Oh, and he's also got a little stripe on his face as well. I didn't see that right away. That's a really beautiful pale Palomino color with pretty nice shading on both sides, here and here. And the muscle definition on this mold isn't as insane as it is on the pony, but that is also to be expected with a draft horse. They carry weight differently, so you often can't see the muscles until they're really using them. There is our American Cream. Very excited to have my first model on the Giorgio mold. Next up, let's take a peek at this Mustang. Wow. Okay, this is the G6 rearing Mustang mold, which is also called Brio. I'm not sure what the official name of the mold is. And he's huge. Brio is huge. Look how big he is, even next to the draft horse. Wow. Also my first horse on this mold, didn't realize how big he was. And this is an absolutely gorgeous, fiery chestnut color with that one little forestocking on that forward hoof there, and of course a stripe. Let's have a closer look at his face. The definition on the mane is pretty good. It looks a little sloppy on this side, but the muscle on the neck looks really good, and so does the shoulder and the flank here. You can always tell when a lot of effort has been put into sculpting the muscles there. This leg looks fantastic. This mold is very large though. This feels almost a little too big to be a stablemate, but there he is, still really pretty, and that color is stunning. The back of the box says, an enduring symbol of freedom, Mustangs are wild horses of the western United States. Descended from the horses of Spanish explorers, Mustangs adapted to the challenging, varied terrain over the centuries. That's a great recap. I love Mustangs. They're such a symbol of freedom as well as just being an incredible, hardy, really intelligent breed. So here's a beautiful example of one on a brand new mold, and I'm excited to add him into my collection. Continuing on, how about this quarter horse? Now, she is on the G6 stock horse mare mold, which is also sometimes called Cassidy, and she is a copper bay, so that's also a sort of similar orangey color to that copper bay we saw earlier. But she's also got a foresock right here, or maybe a half stocking, and then a stocking on her hind as well, her both left feet. No white markings on the face. Let's get a closer look. I really like the sculpting on the mane here, especially the glossier finish on the paint is setting it off. That looks pretty good. And her tail as well. I don't have many horses on this mold, but I appreciate it. I like it. It's nice. She looks very relaxed. She's just hanging out. So there is our quarter horse. The back of the box for this one says, irrefutable icons of the American West, quarter horses are famous for their speed over short distances and their innate ability to work with cattle. They are ideal for everything from ranch work to competitive riding. And I can confirm that. I'm actually living in Arizona at the moment temporarily for work, and there are a lot of quarter horses out here. They seem to be the mount of choice for local riders. Quarter horses, paints, and Arabians are the most popular horses I've seen out here so far. Next up, let's have a look at our beautiful little Norwegian fjord. Look at this guy. Wow, so pretty. This is another mold that's new to me. This is the G6 Norwegian Fjord Stallion mold. So it's breed specific. He looks fantastic. Look at the mane. That's very distinctive mane that stands straight up. And then we've also got our little tail. The color here, he's flea-bitten gray, but he's also got these primitive markings. So I'm not sure if this would count as a gray dun. And he's also got a darker tip on his tail here and a little bit of shading on his nose. No white markings though. The back of the box here says, the trusted mount of the ancient Vikings, the Norwegian fjord was a steadfast war horse. In modern times, this breed can be found competing in a variety of disciplines. Besides their reliable temperament, fjords are known for their primitive markings, including a prominent dorsal stripe that starts at the forelock and ends in the tail. Yeah, there it is. There's that dorsal stripe. And I've never seen a fjord in this color before. Actually, I'm thinking back. I've only ever seen them done, so sort of a buckskin color with those primitive markings as well. So it's really interesting to see a gray fjord. He's really gorgeous. And these breeds, of course, it's kind of funny. They're tiny, but they're incredibly strong. And so you'll see period actors in full Viking gear riding these horses. And they look way too big for them, but don't worry about them. These guys are more than capable of carrying a Viking in full armor. So now let's take a peek at the Morgan. So this is our first repeated breed, and comparing him to our Morgan that we just got in the last set, this is the G6 kit mold, and of course this is the G2 Morgan. Once again, reflecting that trend that I've noticed in some of the newer molds in that they do tend to be larger than the older molds. So stablemates are supposed to be 1 to 32 scale, but I do think some of the larger molds are creeping into 1 to 30, 1 to 31, sort of in that territory. They're much larger than the older ones. Same breed, you can see this one's much bigger. Still, this is a really pretty mold. It's pretty new. I don't have any horses on the kit mold yet. Taking a closer look, I think my favorite thing about it is the wind stirring the mane here into this little cowlick. That's very cute, and the forelock is going as well. That's a really nice touch. I appreciate that. The tail is also getting blown in the wind. So the mold is pretty static. He's just standing, but that movement that the mane and tail add in is a little nice dynamic touch. And this is, of course, a beautiful flaxen liver chestnut, so very dark brown body, but then that really pale mane and tail, almost verging into a palomino category, but not quite. One thing with that cowlick is I suppose it's pretty difficult to paint accurately, so you can see the paint is sort of bleeding over the edge. The mane color has gotten onto the body there. But other than that, I really appreciate this color on this mold. It looks great. He's got 2 stockings in front and 1 in the back, and of course that blaze on his face that turns into a little bit of a milk bucket muzzle. That's very cute. The back of the box says, as the first horse breed developed in the United States, the Morgan horse has served in many important roles. Historically, Morgans have been farm horses, carriage horses, and even cavalry horses. Known for their sensible attitudes and animated gaits, Morgan horses remain popular mounts today. So it's a little different from the description that we had on the last box. They've included some of the same info, but it's been rewritten, which is nice. I'm glad they're not just recycling it. So there is our little Morgan. I'm a fan so far. I think this mold is really cute in person. And so far, by the way, I haven't noticed any damage from the box, which is great. I'm happy about that. Next up, here's our second repeated breed. This is the Arabian. This is also a new mold to me. This is the M1 Aquila, which is also sometimes called the Mini Zafira. So it's a mini of a larger mold. And this is great. This is definitely an Arabian horse. You can really, really tell. Look at that dish. Wow. That is a very distinctive feature of the breed. And once again, we have a pure black horse. There's no marking at all this time, not even a star on the forehead. The only variation in color I'm seeing is a little bit of lightness on the feet, and I'm not even sure if that's intentional. That just might be a little bit of a spraying mistake. but it's great. I mean, I'm a sucker for black horses. I read the Black Stallion books, pretty much the whole series when I was younger, and fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. So I am not mad about this. I think this mold and the color on this mold are just beautiful. So this is an Arabian mare. Once again, she's pretty large, but if we put her next to the Arabian Stallion, the scale looks correct because they're both large. So that's fine. I think if you were going to create scenes with these horses, you might want to consider which molds you're going to use, since some of them don't scale correctly with each other. But by themselves, they are beautiful. The back of the box for our Arabian says, with a history spanning thousands of years, the Arabian is one of the world's oldest breeds. Despite appearing very delicate and refined, their short backs, large nostrils, and long, high-set necks lend these horses great strength in times of heavy or extended work. As a result, they are popular mounts for endurance riding. So once again, it mentions a few things. The endurance riding, that's a repeat, but the description itself is not the same, which is nice. And I'm a real fan of this model. I think she's gorgeous. Wow. All right, last one. This is our standard bred on the Prince Charming mold. This is only my second horse on the mold. And I mentioned this last time, but the mold is called Prince Charming, but it is a mare mold. And this color is gorgeous. We have here a strawberry roan pinto overo. So strawberry roan is what happens when you mix a roaning gene with a chestnut, which means the mane and tail are light. They're not dark like they would be for a bay roan or red roan. And then there's that extra excitement added by the pinto overo. So she's got white legs and a white tip on her tail and some scattered white markings here, including a bald face, which I love. I'm a huge fan of this marking. It's just so striking and beautiful. And if that marking had crept up a little bit further this way, she might have a blue eye, but she doesn't. You can see both her eyes are black. The back of the box for this breed says, standard breds are well known for their aptitude at harness racing. Whether trotting or pacing, these horses can reach speeds of over 30 miles an hour. This breed's name is a reference to the standard times that the horses had to meet when racing a mile to be eligible for registry in the breed's stud book. That's pretty interesting. I actually didn't know that. But you can see that she is doing that famous standard bred pace. She might be pulling a harness right now. And the tail is wonderfully animated. The sculpting is really nice. So there is our very last horse. Let's have a look at all of them together. And here are all the horses together. We have the 2020 set on this side and the 2024 set on this side. And in terms of final thoughts, I do think I prefer the newer set for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's a little more variety in the breeds. You typically see the same breeds over and over again when Breyer releases these breed packs. You'll always get an Arabian, a Thoroughbred, a Warm Blood, a Morgan. You might get an Andalusian in there since they have so many molds for them. But in this set, we had some, not just new molds, but also new breeds entirely. I learned about a new breed I didn't know about, as well as some ponies, the Connemara and the Norwegian Fjord. And then even with our breeds that we'd seen repeated, the Arabian and the Morgan, we had new molds and new colors. So that was pretty exciting. I also think the descriptions on the back of the box were a little bit more detailed if you're interested in the educational side of it. But I do prefer the 2024 set, which is great because it's still available. So if you want to go get one, you can get it on Amazon or the Breyer website. It's very easy to find. I am a fan of both sets. I think they both provide a really nice variety in breeds and colors, as well as a little bit of education on the back of the box. And of course, they look great together as well. This is a proper herd running across my desk now. Overall, I'm very happy with both sets. I did prefer the newer set, but I think the older one had its merits as well, especially this lip designer. I love him so much. So yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble about model horses. And if you enjoyed this video, there should be similar ones getting posted pretty soon, so stay tuned. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye!